this video, I'm going to talk about how to get hired in a call center even when you don't have work experience. A lot of people have messaged me on Facebook and on Instagram and even on YouTube asking how will they get hired in a call center even when they don't have work experience. Call centers even hire fresh graduates, or even though you haven't graduated yet, as long as you have reached their minimum requirements. So you never have to worry even though you don't have work experience, because you will have a chance to work in one of the call center companies that you want to apply to. However, there are certain things that you need to consider before applying for you to get hired. You have to look at these factors before you actually apply, just so you're sure that you are actually qualified to apply for that particular call center job. Here are 7 tips to get a job in a call center even without work experience. Tip number 1 is actually pretty basic. Of course, you have to look for hiring, because the job will not just follow you anywhere you go. You will be the one to look for that call center job. So how will you do it? There are several ways for you to look for hiring. First, you can go to Facebook groups and forums. They will usually post job postings and ads. However, you have to be careful, because you have to make sure that these job postings are actually legit. And there are also job postings via JobStreet. You can just Google jobstreet.com and you can create a profile from there. You can even set a notification so that JobStreet will email you if there is a job hiring or opening that is fit for you or for your location. Aside from JobStreet, we also have mynemo.com, wherein you can also search for jobs. There are also websites. Google, of course, you can Google any job hiring in your location or in your area. Aside from online, you can also do it offline. There are referrals that you can use so that you can apply for a certain company. So you can ask your friends or family members where they work. If they work for a certain call center company, they can actually refer you so that someone will call you and you will be invited for an initial interview or examination. Aside from that, online referrals, the easiest way for you to get a job is to actually walk into that certain company. In Cebu alone, you can go to Cebu IT Park, and you can search for different call centers or contact centers right there. You can just walk in the HR or lobby area, ask from the guards where to submit your application, and most of the call centers already have one-day hiring, so you can take your exam from there, you can be interviewed from there, and you don't have to wait for the referral or for anything. If you apply online, it may take some time, but if you walk in, at least you already know the future of your application right there and then. So if not one day, maybe 2 days or 3 days or even a week, but at least, you already made the choice and you already made the effort to walk in to that certain company that you want to apply for. You can apply to at least 3 companies so that you also have options. Do not apply to so many companies at once, because that also won't look good and also won't give off a good impression to you as an applicant. My tip number 2 is to check the qualifications or minimum requirements. I know I've mentioned earlier that you can apply for a call center job even if you don't have work experience, but it's also important to check the qualifications and minimum requirements on the job posting. So for example, they are hiring a college graduate and you haven't finished college yet, then of course do not apply for that posting, because you will likely not be accepted because of that minimum requirement alone. So if the job hiring states that you can apply even if you've only finished 2 years in college with any type of course or any type of major, then you can go ahead and apply for that as well. Other minimum requirements can be the age limit. If they say 18 years old and above, then of course you have to be 18 years old at the time of application. If they say that they need someone who lives just in Cebu City or who are willing to relocate in Cebu, then you also have to meet that certain requirement. If they say that you have to have excellent communication skills, oral and written communication skills, then you have to evaluate yourself. Do I have excellent or at least very satisfactory English, oral and written communication skills? If you think that you have what it takes, then go ahead and apply. But if you think that you really struggle and you need more improvement, then it might be best to practice first and skip that company first and look for a certain company that that only requires you to be able to speak English well and not really very good or excellent in the oral or written English language. So it's different for each company. You have to look at that criteria or qualification so that you don't go wasting your time at all. My tip number 3 is to research about the company or their hiring and interview process. So let's just say you have already met the qualifications and minimum requirements of the job that you're looking for, and you have already decided which company you're going to apply to, then make sure you also do your research about that company. What kind of services do they offer? Are they for customer service or for sales? Because you would want to know what kind of job you're getting into. And you would also want to know the interview process and the hiring process. And how would you know that? You can ask around. You can ask some employees of that company. You can also verify that if you know anyone from that company, or you can ask Facebook groups. There are a lot of Facebook groups about call center companies, about job postings and hirings, and you can ask them, whoever from them worked in this company. You can verify what kind of interview and hiring process they have. And why am I telling you this? It's because you will probably have a great chance of getting accepted if you know how the hiring or the interview process goes. I know that the basics are just the same for most of the companies, but there are companies that employ certain tests or exams that you can prepare for ahead of time, and you will only know that if you've researched beforehand. Tip number 4 is to prepare your resume. Of course, do not just go into that company or do not just go to the lobby of the company without even preparing your resume. So you should already have that prepared even before you walk in, or even before you get or even before your appointment or your schedule for your initial interview. And do not underestimate your resume. You have to highlight your skills, keep it brief and concise, and make sure that you highlight all the things that you need the employer to know about you. Aside from your resume, it would also be best to prepare your pre-employment requirements ahead of time. I know that the pre-employment requirements are not really required during the application stage, but some of the basic ones will be asked from you. And if you don't have the pre-employment requirements beforehand, it may decrease the chance of you getting hired, because some companies are very strict with their pre-employment requirements. Example, NBA clearance, police clearance, you have SSS, pag-ibig, what else? Any type of requirements that will be needed for you to be employed to that certain job. We also have school records like your diploma, your transcript of records, your certificate of your grades or whatnot, and if you have, let's just say you have previous work experience, even not in a call center, you might also be asked for your certificate of employment and those things. So if that company is ramping or they really need the employees right away, and the client needs you to have your NBA clearance right away, and you cannot provide that during that certain period or certain month, then you may not be hired right away just because of that certain requirement. And it's very possible. So if you can, then prepare the basic ones like what I've mentioned, the NBI, police clearance, school records, and certificate of employment if you have any job previously. If you want to know more about that, I also have a free basic call center survival kit guide. You just need to sign up to my newsletter. I'm going to put that on the card up there, and I will link it down below so that you can also download it and read through the different requirements or basic requirements that each company might ask from you. Tip number 5 is to brush up on general knowledge and other exams or tests, because of course you'll have to undergo that during the hiring process or application process. So if you haven't reviewed your general knowledge and haven't checked or brushed up on your English communication skills, then it's time for you to do that so that you are ready when it comes to the hiring process or the application. So some of the general tests would be like for vocabulary, general mathematics exam, computer navigation skills, typing, listening, and those things. So it would be best to be armed, even though just for the basics, so that you're not empty-handed once you go there and apply. Tip number 6 is to practice call center interview questions. I have a video about that, which I will put on the card up there, or up there rather, wherever it is, just look for it. And I can also link those videos down below on the description if you check it out, and on the end screen so that it's easier for you to locate them. So on those videos, that's 2-part video, I discussed the common and basic interview questions plus model answers that you can follow so that you're ready when it comes to your interview. And I'm also planning to make an online course about that as well, with a more comprehensive list of questions and answers. You don't have to memorize all your answers, but if you feel that you struggle in answering interview questions, because some people can just take it in a whim or in a breeze, they can just answer questions as easy as they can, but some people need to practice more because they struggle with answering English questions, and you have to accept that it's part of the hiring process. So if you really need to increase your chance of getting hired, which of course you want to, then practice answering interview questions before you apply for a certain call center job. And tip number 7, last but not the least, is to be patient, because nothing worth it comes easy. It's not easy to look for a job, but everybody needs a job. And if you really want to have a job in the call center industry, to be a call center professional, sometimes you will experience hurdles and challenges along the way. Like you might get rejected after your first application, you might not be hired even after your second or your third, but the key is to never stop trying and to keep practicing. Look at the things that you need to improve on, like the way you answer interview questions, your English communication skills, because practice makes progress, and if you are patient enough, then for sure you will get that job that you want. But if you give up on the first sign of hardship, then I don't think you will ever find a job. You also have to be proactive. So if you need to study, to read about interview questions, to watch videos about interview questions, for example, then you have to make time for it and be patient along the way as you learn. Do not make excuses, because if you want to get a job, then you will do your best to get that job for you. And that's about it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and if you've learned something from this video, then please go ahead and share this to anyone who can benefit. Please also don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment below if you have any questions or suggestions. So don't forget, I have videos every Wednesdays and Fridays, so see you on my next video. Take care and good luck on your job hunting. I wish you all the best, and I hope you get hired as soon as possible. See you and take care. Bye-bye.